Hello, everyone. This is Kyla from Hidden Gems Literary Emporium in New Brunswick, New Jersey. We are here with Miss Jessica Jackson, who is the author of Elijah Broke the Gate, performance pieces about child loss. How are you today, Miss JC?
Yes, JC, I am great. I'm great. It's a good day.
Okay. And just so people know, where are you from?
I am coming from Houston, Texas, originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
So you
But
from the
I'm a
East?
Texan, so you gotta call me a Texan because I'm officially a Texan now.
Oh, okay. But you don't have an accent.
Oh, I don't? Good.
That's funny. And just so everybody knows, no, we did not plan this hat situation. We're just sisters through authorship and book loving, clearly.
Yes.
No, we did not plan this. So, Miss JC. Now, what do you want me to call you? Seriously.
You can call me either one. People call me JC. People call me Jessica. Either one is fine. Whichever makes you comfortable.
What makes you comfortable?
Any of them. Just don't call me Jess. That's my dad's name.
Okay. Okay. I think Jessica is just so beautiful. What does that name mean?
It means God's grace.
You better go ahead, Jessica. Miss God's Grace. That's beautiful.
Yes.
And you certainly are that. Even just, and I'm sure when people see this, you just glow. And your smile and your eyes, and you're just so radiant. And even the picture on the back of your book is so beautiful. Okay. Why don't you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about the book, how it came to be.
Okay. So I'm JC Jackson. I'm really glad about being here today. So my book is called Elijah Broke the Gate. It's a tribute to my son and to women who have lost their babies, either through miscarriage, stillbirth, or regretted abortion. And it's a book of performance pieces. It's broken up into 3 parts, reflection, refiner, and redemption. And they follow the phases of grief. And so when you read the book, you can read it by pieces. You can break it up into pieces because it has a mixture of poems and scenes and speeches. So you can break it up, or you can read it all together. It can be a full-length play, or you can just sit and read it and reflect, and it can be a book club, book study. It's however, the book becomes whatever you need it to be. How it came about? Well, I lost my son. He passed. His name was Elijah Jackson, and he died on November 3rd, 2019. And I started to miscarry him on a Thursday, and he was gone by Sunday. And so the story of my son, I remember when I got pregnant and how excited I was. We had planned the pregnancy. It wasn't like a oops, oh my gosh, no, baby, we planned that thing. He was very wanted. It was very intentional, and it took us 2 months. That's it, 2 months. We were pregnant. And I had planned out how I was going to tell my husband. I had like really rehearsed it, but when it happened, none of the things I planned happened. I had the pregnancy stick. He was in the bathroom on the toilet, and I just flung it in his face, peeing off. It was like, we're pregnant. He was like, good deal. Yeah. Oh. So that was pregnancy, and everything was great. You know, I'm pretty healthy, didn't have any worries or concerns. The doctor's like, you're healthy, you're super healthy, everything's great, looks good. Had my ultrasound, was excited. They were like, you can't really tell, but there goes the baby right there. And I'm like, yes. And I have a beautiful daughter named Kiera, my stepdaughter. She's fabulous, and she's very much older. So my husband and I wanted to start having a baby from both of us. And my stepdaughter, Kiera, she was excited to have a little brother on this side of her family. And so we were all excited. And so when I started to spot, and we had the little pink spotting, I freaked out because, you know, first time pregnancy, you know, and we all went to the hospital, even though the OBGYN was like, it's okay, you're fine, that's normal. I said, no, We went to the hospital and did all the stuff they do. And they said, guess what? You're still pregnant. And we all laughed. We were like, oh, first time pregnancy jitters. But just rest up. And so that Thursday I stayed home and stayed in the bed, and what was just little wisp of pink turned into clumps of tissue and dark red. And I'll let you read the book. I'll never forget the day that I miscarried my son. It was the most, I've experienced some things. I've had abuse, things happen to me. I've had some horrible things happen to me, but there is something different about your body doing something you completely don't want it to do to something that you love, and you not being able to stop it. I remember in the moment feeling like I was murdering my child and I couldn't stop myself from murdering him. It was pretty horrific. I could not recover afterwards. The moment that it happened, I had beautiful support. My husband was there. My best friend was there. There's a piece in the book about it called ABC, where we're not touchy-feeling. Me and my best friend, we've been best friends since college, and we love each other to pieces, but we're not like, let's rub each other's hair and give each other kisses or anything like that. But that day, it was all rubbing hair, everything. We broke all the Black girl rules, right? And so my husband was great. My friends surrounded me. I have a great core support group, and I'm very blessed to have that, because not a lot of women do. But I could not deal. Like I was shook. It made me question everything. Like I am a believer of Jesus Christ. It made me question everything. Like, why did this happen? Jesus, I did not commit some great sin. I did everything right by my standards. I waited till marriage. I did the things right. Lord, I've been faithful to you. I've been giving back. Why did you let my baby die? And I began to write down everything, every thought, every feeling, from anger to everything. I mean, I had such good friends, and these are all my little Christian lovely friends. I went through a whole phase of profanity, like straight. I'm not talking about no little cute profanity. I'm talking about F-bomb, B, blah, blah, blah. I would call them mad, just, they would go there right with me. I mean, meet me where I was, and no judgment, right? And as I begin to write these things, I begin to feel better. I begin to feel calmer, because at one point I thought I was just going to die. Like I just like, I don't understand why am I living? Why is this happening? I began to write, and another thing people know about me, I'm a gardener. I have a garden group. I began to plant, and every time I put the seeds in the ground and things would grow, I would feel better, and I would write about it, and I would write all my thoughts, and I began to talk about it, because from my understanding, I didn't really know anybody who lost a child except for like one of my family members, and we didn't really talk about that. And so I began to talk about it, and then when I talked about it, other people talked about it too. And I was like, wait, people I knew, I didn't know they had lost children. Like literally, I didn't know. I didn't know people I knew who had abortion, all of that. We began to talk about all of that. And then I was like, wait, why is this a secret? So like losing a child is like this undercover club that nobody talks about. Nobody wants to be in, but we all need to talk about it, but nobody wants to talk about it. And I was like, why don't we start talking about it? So I started to feel this drive in me. Like there was something I was supposed to do, that I was supposed to tell Elijah's story. But then I felt like, I don't think it's just supposed to be women who had miscarriages. I think it's supposed to be women who've experienced all these different things. So I had friends that just never talked about it, that began to talk about it. Friends who had stillbirths, friends who had several miscarriages. I have a friend who has had 10 miscarriages and 2 children. Friends who have gone through IVF. I had friends who have, from this whole experience, I found friends who had had abortions, deeply regretted, and they never told a single soul. And so as I started writing these stuff down, I saw a story start to unfold. And I began to ask these friends, hey, can you write about it too? I know it's triggering. I know it's hard, but I think people need to hear your story. And so the things that they wrote, we began to put it together. Henceforth, Elijah broke the gate. And so when you read the story in my book, you'll go through this roller coaster of emotions that is so familiar to anyone who's lost a child. And I do mean lost a child through abortion or anything, because if you regret your abortion, you still have lost your child and there's still no way for you to get that baby back, right? And so there's a roller coaster of emotions that you go through, but every stage that you go through is important and needed. And so I ask people when they read the book to walk this journey with me. And I know it's a hard read. I know it's hard, but when you get to the end, there's hope. And you'll see how Elijah broke the gate and how there's hope even in the tragedy of losing your child, and how there's purpose in you. Not that it was okay. Not that God couldn't have found another way, because he could have found another way, right? But there's hope. And so I wrote it because I want to let women know that there's hope, and you don't have to do this by yourself. There's a community of people that will surround you. And if you can't find them, I will. You can email me. At the end, it says connect with Jessica, and I really mean that. Connect with me, send me a message. And ever since, before people even started getting their books, I've gotten emails, I've gotten Instagram messages, I've gotten Facebook messages, I've gotten women who've never written about their loss, and suddenly they feel free because they're writing about it. And they're like, can you read my writing? Yes, I can read your writing. I've gotten family members that I didn't even know were struggling, going through, losing. I have a family member that is inside of her baby is not alive. How do you deal with that? Spoke it. I'm going to have to adduce my baby, and my baby's going to be born dead. I need to tell someone. But we're struggling through this, and not just women, men. My husband, he wrote a letter to our son. It's called Little Man. He said, okay, you can put it in. My friend's husband, they wrote together. Men, most of the time, grieve differently, and it's just getting a peek into how they grieve. And you're not alone. Man, you're not alone, right? And so it's a beautiful lyrical journey of grief and despair and hope and healing and recovery and purpose.
What would you say to women who are in the stage where you were, where the loss just happened and they're questioning everything and they're angry, and they are, in the why me stages, or maybe they're blaming themselves for something, or maybe they're saying, what, in that state of confusion and shock, what would you say to women who are in that initial stage?
First, don't blame yourself. And I know I'm going to say this and you're going to still blame yourself, right? Don't blame yourself. Your body will do what it does. I remember looking horrified when the nurse told me it was a chromosome abnormality. And when that happens in your body will get rid of what's broken, what's messed up. I was like, so what you're telling me is my body didn't like my baby and so it killed it? That's what I heard. That's not what she said, but that's what I heard. And I was like, something's wrong with me. I'm a murderer. Like, I was just like, so what I'm saying is don't blame yourself and surround yourself with people that you love. You don't have to surround yourself with anyone. You don't have to surround yourself with anyone you don't want to be around. Like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Surround yourself with things that make you happy and at peace. Write about it. And whatever emotion you feel is okay, even if it's not what you feel like is healthy or normal. There's no unhealthy emotion when you're grieving. That's just bull. There's no unhealthy emotion. You just need to have your emotion. And if you don't have it, then it's going to fester inside of you and disease is going to form. So you need to let it out. You need to find a group of people that you feel good with, and you need to tell them. And it has to be people that you know aren't going to judge you. That's really important. And if you need to rest, rest. If you need to scream, scream. There's a whole thing in the end of my book with the book club that talks about wailing, where you literally need to practice wailing. We're the only culture, American culture, where it's weird to wail. In other countries, they pay people to grieve, to wail. Like, we scream. I remember when I wailed for the first time, no one said, oh, you're going to wail. It just happened because it was so heavy and my stomach was so full and my heart was so hurt. Suddenly, with something so unrelated from my baby, I just began to just well. I didn't even know I was welling until my mother-in-law said, Jessie, are you okay? I hate that she calls me Jessie. Jessie, are you okay? And I was like, what? And it just came out. I'm saying, do what you need to do, but surround yourself with people you love. And after some time, you'll be able to breathe. And another big thing is, I would always tell myself, breathe, because I didn't start holding my breath until I lost my son. Like literally holding my breath. Breathe. Every second, breathe. Just breathe. If you take one more breath, you did good today. Just breathe.
Why do you think that the topic of child loss, even though it's something that happens
Quite often.
Yes, often, why is it so difficult for us to have open and honest conversations about it?
Because there's shame in it. There's a lot of shame in losing your baby. Because it's almost like the one thing that I can do, right? I'm a woman. I have all the parts and pieces. I need to be able to carry this baby and birth this. I might not be good at cooking, but baby, I can deliver a baby. We all got that, right? But then what happens if you lose the baby? What happens if you get an abortion and get paid to lose the baby? And then you realize, oh my God. Then there's shame. Because it's like, what if the reason could possibly be I wasn't healthy enough, or I was overweight, or then all that shame. And that's nothing but the devil. So it makes it hard. It's like you see these people and they have these beautiful babies and all these babies, and you're like, I couldn't keep mine. Or I have two. So what? I wanna be sad for this baby, but I have two, and some people have none. There was another person I did before my book was published. I did a virtual editing and I invited people I love, right? People I know. Didn't know some of them had lost babies. And one of the people I knew admitted when I talked to them afterwards to get feedback, they just started crying. Because at first I was like, what is she talking about? She was talking about a whole bunch of stuff. She started crying and told me about a miscarriage she had that she had never told anyone about, because she has all these healthy children and her children are fabulous. And she was like, it was so early on into the pregnancy. I just was thinking, well, and then she was like, but Jessica, I lost my baby too. And I said, you did? And she was like, and I'm so upset. I said, you know what? I'm upset with you. It's okay to be upset, because that's your baby. That's your baby. And I just feel my heart goes out to women, because I'm like, it's your baby. It doesn't matter if you've had one miscarriage, one stillbirth, one or several. It's horrible. It is horrible. No one should lose their child. No one should, but it happens. And it's okay to be pissed off about it. It's okay to be upset about it. It's okay to grieve about it. And it's okay to recover and have hope and be a fine. I know some people who literally are okay. It was horrible and now they're okay, and that's fine too.
Would you say that you are okay?
No. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I still get mad, and I don't know how long that's going to be. I don't know if that's going to be forever. Like, I praise God for the dream he gave me with Elijah. I praise God that dream brought forth this vision of the book, and that I'm helping people. And I feel every time, like, I'll post and I'll put a hashtag for Elijah, because I feel like I'm walking in the purpose that he placed in my heart, that he heard from God, right? And you hear about that in the book. And I'll feel hope and joy and feel greatness. And then I'll still miss him, because my baby, I talked to him when he was in my belly. He's my baby. And I won't be able to see him until I make it to heaven. And so I miss him. I don't think more children are going to make me not miss him and make me be okay with the fact that he's gone. I don't think so. Maybe it'll be different years from now. I don't know. But right now, no, I'm not okay. But I can breathe.
Can you, I'm glad that you mentioned the dream. Can you please tell, because that's something that you also talk about in the book. I was trying to see if it was on the back. It's not on the back, it's inside. Can you tell us about the dream that inspired this piece of work?
So when I remember when I said when I lost him, I like almost died. Like I just couldn't take it. Like it was really bad. My husband and I ended up going to a healing retreat as well. That really helped us, called No Longer Bound. If you ever need to go, it was really profound. But before that, I didn't have a name for Elijah at all. My husband couldn't come up with a name. We couldn't come up with a name. And we lost him so early on, we actually didn't even know the sex of our baby. But I felt like it was a boy. And most people say when you lose a child, you can kind of feel the sex of the baby if you don't make that point. I felt like it was a boy. So I just kept saying he, right? And Derek was like, how do you know it's a he? I said, I feel like he's a he, right? And we were arguing. We had gone past the beautiful stage of being in one accord and grieving together. And it was just like we were mad and we couldn't figure it out. We were arguing. And I remember that night, it was in my kitchen. And I was just like, Lord, you're gonna have to do something. Because unlike a lot of people who feel like God is far away when this happens, I felt close. I've always felt close to God. I've had a lot of trauma in my life, in my childhood. I've always felt like God has been there walking beside me. And I still felt like, I literally felt like he was holding me in his arms when it happened. But my confusion was, why didn't you stop it while you were holding? I know you were crying with me, but why did you allow it? And I remember that night just praying. I turned on my music. I began to get in God's face. I said, I need something now. Like, this is not going to work. I know you got me doing all this stuff for you, Lord, but I'm about to like take a whole hiatus. Like, I'm going to need something real talk. Like, that's how I talk to the Lord. Real talk, Jesus. I'm going to need you to give me a word like right now, right? And I was like, I don't care if I'm up all night. I remember my daughter stepped over me to go to the kitchen and get some out the refrigerator. Because I mean, I was on the floor. And I remember when it happened, the dream or the vision, however you want to say it. Dream makes people feel better. So I say dream. But I saw a gate. It's called the Avian Gate. If you know anything about like Roman history, the Avian Gate is a gate back in the day that used to block people out, right? So like the rich people lived on the other side of the gate. And so people would leave their children at the base of the gate, and they would leave their children there in hopes that the people inside the gate would take care of them, or not that their child would die because they couldn't take care of their children. And so everyone would be leaving these children hoping that people would either take them or the children would just be left there to die. And so in the dream, I saw a woman, and the woman represented me taking a seed and planting the seed at the base of the gate. And the seed was an avocado seed, because I had literally been saving an avocado seed for when Elijah was born, a gardener or a farmer, some people say. And I wanted to grow this avocado tree. And the tree began to grow, and it grew taller and taller until it broke the gate apart. So the gate couldn't separate people anymore or stop people from going in. And then I heard my son's voice, and I heard his name, Elijah. And he said, I broke the gate, now go. And I like eyes open, and I had a very clear reality that I was supposed to go and start telling everybody. And so I remember getting up and being excited because I saw Elijah. And I began to worship and pray, and I could see him. I could see him worshiping and praying. And I was like, I know what I'm supposed to do. And I began to start pulling all the writings together and started writing the story. And then the ending of it, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending part of the book, when you read it, you'll understand why it's so important that I heard and I saw Elijah. And the Avian Gate is a real gate. I didn't make that up. It's a real gate. Yeah.
And is it still standing to this day? Do you know?
Yes, it is. Well, at least I see pictures of it. I haven't been to Israel in how many? In 10 years. I haven't been to Israel in 10 years. I need to go back. But, well, not Israel, in that area where Rome and everything is, in 10 years. So I need to go back and visit. But I did go to Israel too. But yes, the gate is still there, but clearly, they don't use it for the purposes of keeping people out and children.
Um, and yes, on the cover of the book, there is the gate with an avocado tree and avocados. And it's funny that we're talking about this because 2 days ago we were at Raymond's grandmother's house,
Mhm.
and she's from Puerto Rico. Every time we go there, she tells us stories about her childhood and the farm and things like that. And she talks about the fruit trees that they used to grow. And then, so this was only 2 days ago. She shows me an avocado seed, and she says, "I saw." I think she said Facebook. I saw on Facebook that if you boil an avocado and chop it up, you can dye your hair with it, and it'll give nutrients to your hair. That's what she said. And so we went over there yesterday, and she said, "Look," I'm like, "What is that?" She said, "Remember I told you about the avocado?" She was like, "I did it." So it's just funny how, the timing of when
That's pretty cool.
yeah. Um,
That's pretty cool.
Another thing about avocado seeds is we also keep them. We have a couple by the sink right now as we speak, but we also keep them and plant them, and we have one at the house.
Yeah, I ended up planting the avocado seed, and I have a small tree growing in
Wow.
the area of Elijah. And every year the goal is to repot it every year because it's in a pot right now. It's not in the ground, but repot it. So like it takes me a minute to find the perfect pot
Yeah.
every year. And so what I did this past year was repot it on the day that he was supposed to be born.
Mm.
And so in memory of him and his life.
Hmm. Some people who see this are going to think, how is she so vibrant and happy and joyful? How are you? Um, how are you? How are you? How are you still vibrant?
I don't know. I have it sounds like an old person, but I do have the joy of the Lord. That's like what I'm like, I'm such an old person in that sense. Like I'm like, that's like what I think about. I feel like God is faithful. He's so faithful. I should not have been able to finish this book. I should not have. I lost my son. I'll tell you the timeline. I lost my son, right? Then months later, in November 2020, coronavirus happens, right? Everything's changing. We're going virtual. We're doing all these things. Then I have this dream about my dad. My dad, I don't really know my dad very well. I mean, I know him. I know where he lives, but my dad has not been involved in my life. He was an alcoholic, abuser when we were children, abuser to my mom. I mean, we did the whole Lifetime movie, Runaway. I mean, I was abused from 4 to 12. I mean, there was just not by my father, but by somebody else. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that surrounds my father. I had this dream. I've never had a dream about my father, something bad was going to happen to my father, and that I was going to have to get him and bring him to Texas. My dad is from South Carolina. Woke up terrified, thought my dad was dead. Called everybody, was like, and found out he was okay. And I was like, all right. A couple of months later, my cousin pushed my dad. My dad broke his neck, broke his spine, C4, C5 quadriplegic, traumatic brain injury. He's in the hospital 2 months. Nobody would take my dad because my dad has a horrible temper. Dad's abuser. Nobody would take my dad. I finally found out 2 months after it happened that my dad's in this big thing because nobody would take him. I knew exactly I was supposed to take him. Talk to my husband, talk to my daughter. They said, of course. We ambulanced my father from South Carolina here to Texas. My family meets my dad for the first time the day my dad moves in. I did not know what it was going to be like to take care of someone who's quadriplegic, but just a little history, we have to turn him every 2 hours. He came with pressure ulcers on his butt, on his feet, in and out the hospital. They wanted to amputate his leg. I was really cranking up the garden, trying to find herbs, found out cayenne will increase his blood. He started getting healed. I mean, there was just so much happening. All this time, I'm writing a book. I moved my dad into the room that was supposed to be my son's. I'm dealing with attitude. My dad is going through detox because he's had to quit cold turkey from alcohol and drugs. We're dealing with cussing out. I mean, completely different. All this is happening while I'm trying to write a book. And we're losing sleep. We didn't understand the difficulty of turning your dad every 2 hours. And even with shifts, how much sleep, we're getting irritated. My husband and I are trying to figure things out. My daughter's getting ready to go to college. I mean, all this is happening while I'm trying to write a book. Then it gets close to the time I hire, my friend is a book doula, Kamari Hawkins, shout out to her. She's an amazing book doula if anybody ever needs one. So she helps you do your books, get your books completed and published, right? She's helping me. She's like, Jessica, we're not going to stop going. I'm like, I'm crying. I'm so tired. I just can't do it. And I miss my kid. And I'm just going through. And we're getting closer and closer. A month? Was it a month? It had to be a little less than a month before I'm supposed to have my book release party. I get COVID. My dad gets COVID. Oh, the biggest fear was that if my dad gets COVID, he's going to die. So we're all freaking out. My dad is asymptomatic. So we're dealing with all that. I have a virtual book release party and the book comes out and it's amazing. The virtual release is great. I have a band. We're doing the performances. It's amazing. But what I'm saying, none of this should have happened. When I look at the trajectory of everything and everything, the odds against, it shouldn't have happened, but then it did. So when I smile, it's because the Lord literally is faithful. Literally, like no stretch of the imagination. I mean, I can even go back to my birth. I was born a preemie 1 pound, 12 ounces. I literally wasn't supposed to live. You know what I mean? And so I think I miss my boy. I miss him, but God is still faithful. He still loves me. He's still using me. Like when I talk to women and men who have gone through what I've gone through, different situations, different ways, and they tell me, hey, thank you for letting me tell you my story. Thank you for this community that you're creating, that I didn't know I was creating, mind you, to allow me to talk about my pain. I think God is faithful because even though I went through what I went through, and I don't ever want to go through it again. And I wish it upon no one. It's still helping someone. Like my pain, my stuff is helping someone. And if you're going to go through some crap, at least your crap can help somebody. So yeah. That face.
There's just so many thoughts running through my mind. And then I'm thinking about the one born at 1 pound, 1 pound. Can you talk about that?
Oh, being born? Well, I don't remember it, but
what have you heard? So you were born premature.
Mm-hmm.
By how many months?
I was born, I think I was 2 months early, and I was 12 ounces. My mom is a diabetic. She's type 1. She's been one since she was 7. So she was already told she wasn't supposed to have children. And so with my brother and I, both of us, her blood sugar was like going into 1,000. So she was supposed to during pregnancy on both of us. So she's a miracle in herself. If you ever met her, you'd be like, if you're a shouting person, I will have you shouting in like 2 minutes. In 2 minutes of her testimony, you'd be just shouting all the way down the street. But I was prophesied over in my mom's belly that I was going to bless people. And my grandmother, how the story goes, that they said that I was going to die. When I was born, they said I was going to die. And the story goes that my grandma held me in her arms and she rocked me, she prayed over me. And the women, we have a very, very strong woman lineage in our family. The women prayed over me and spoke life into me. And so I grew. They said suddenly after that, I just began to grow. And they said it was a miracle. 1 pound, 12 ounces. And they thought there were going to be things wrong with me. And they said there was nothing wrong with me. I was completely 100% healthy.
You know what? We tell people all the time about the power. You and I were talking about this all just before the power of prayer and the power of the tongue is
Mhm.
so important. So you telling me that this is a 1 pound little bean, and these women said, "Oh no, 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 no! This child is going to live. This child
Mhm.
will grow. This child is growing. This child is healthy. This child is perfect." Now, what could have happened, or what does happen when we allow the enemy in our minds, and then now we're
Mhm.
saying, "No, the baby's gonna die," or the baby, or you and I might not even be having this conversation right now.
Mhm.
But then, and then I think too, in the situations about child loss, and we also, I interview another author. Her son died at 25, and it's just like, I would imagine that there would always be this question as to why. And
Yeah.
so my question to you is, how does one, is there ever an answer to that question, why, or how do you uh accept is not the word. I don't think get over is not the word. Move past is not the word. How do you I don't even think become okay with is the word, or is the phrase.
I
How do
think
you
breathe.
mm,
I don't think there's I don't know other people's experience, but I can tell you mine. I began to be able to smile again when I took breaths, like when I could breathe. And so I really don't think I'm ever going to just be okay, but I think I can breathe. I can breathe, right? And so it's just, I don't know, because people ask me a lot of times, and I'm like, I'm not okay. They're like, but you're smiling. I was like, it is a real smile, but I'm not okay. I'm like, if your child, that your little baby, your wonderful kid, if they just died, would you be okay? Oh, well, no. Same here. I'm not okay, but I can breathe. And sometimes I can't breathe. Sometimes I'm literally gasping for air because it's so much. But I just practice breathing. And what makes things better is seeing that my situation helps someone. So when people call me and they say, my God, this helped me because I felt like I'm not alone, that makes it better. Yeah.
mm.
Not okay, but better.
I would like to well, before we flip, at Hidden Gems we like to open up our books randomly. And I say randomly, but I just don't, I'm not one to believe in coincidences. I believe that everything coincides with what you're doing, or what path you're on, or what you're talking about, and things like that. So before I do that, I just want to say I love that you put space in here, process through writing. I think that is so important. My husband and I are coming out with a poetry book this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we also have prompts in there because it's
Come on.
important. It's
Yes.
important. And especially with a topic like this, when you're reading it, you're thinking about so much. It's
Mm.
like, it was very thoughtful of you to include that.
That more came from when I had my editing, my virtual editing party, and we really went through the whole thing. We had some actor friends play some parts and different things. Like we were like 75% through, and then someone just went on the Zoom and said, Jessica, can we have a break? Not because I have to go to the bathroom, but because this is a whole lot and it's beautiful. But I just need to take a breath. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And so I was like, I should put that in the book.
Wow. Yeah. Mm. Okay, I'm gonna open up So this book, why I opened up something you wrote. I hope y'all saw that. I really just did. I opened up to
Okay, you went out for a second. Say it again. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. Okay, say it again.
I opened up to Miscarriage Anonymous by Miss J.C. Jackson. I did not plan this, everyone, please know. My son's name is Truth. I would never lie. And I really did just open up. It's on page 49. If anybody who's going to be watching this is following along. And so I'm wondering how we should read this because it's not that long.
It isn't.
But there's
you want to read the part of Jasmine and I can read the other people, or do you want me to read the part of Jasmine and you can read the other people? Because it's a scene.
I see. I think that you should be Jasmine.
Okay.
And then so I'd be everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm. Are you going to read the stage directions?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the setting. The room is set up in the fashion of an Alcoholic Anonymous meeting. Jasmine is center stage. Everyone else is surrounding her. The other people in the room are a mix of male and female of a variety of races, nationalities, and social economic statuses. Lights up.
Hello. My name is Jasmine. I had a miscarriage. I'm here to recover my miscarriage.
Hello, Jasmine.
Hello. I'm here because I'm here because I'm here because I had a miscarriage and I feel ashamed.
We don't judge you.
I
Hey, Jasmine, we don't judge you.
Do you have children? My apologies. I'm sorry for asking that. I was just wondering if
It's okay to speak your truth. We won't judge you.
I wanted my baby, but I wasn't sure we were ready. My man and we weren't sure. So then sometimes I had second thoughts, but I didn't want my boy to die. I just wish we had more time to get our crap together. We couldn't bring a baby into the world while we were still fighting each other. We need to be done with that so we have enough energy to fight our boys' demons. And I think that did something somehow. I think that energy, that uncertainty somehow interfered with my boy's development because he just suddenly died. He just developed this problem and my body said no. And my body just miscarried my baby. My body just killed him. And I think it's my fault because my energy wasn't right. And now I feel lost. Like some part of me is missing. And my mind isn't right. And I don't think it will ever be right because I'm just lost. And now other women don't know what to say to me because I'm just broken and I can't fix myself and I can't fix it. And I feel so ashamed.
Jasmine, we don't judge you. 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 Now you stop judging you.
Lights out.
Mm. Mm. So at what point did you write that one?
It was a couple of months after the miscarriage,
Mm.
because that shame,
Mm-hmm.
and I had been talking about it with another friend of mine who had a miscarriage. And she was like, there's nothing you did wrong. And I said, but I had to, like, maybe we didn't. And she said, no. She's like, I just don't believe God is that God. He's gonna say, hey, you guys were fighting. And I remember she was making me laugh. She's like, you work with those kids. Cause I specialize in bad kids. She said, no, she was like, them parents are bad. They are not good parents. And they be having like 10 kids. She said, so we know that God don't operate like that, right? She said, they be fighting, they beating up their own men. She said, they still keep having kids. I remember laughing at her. And she was like, you got to stop feeling ashamed for something that you didn't do. You got to stop feeling ashamed for not being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. This book and this topic calls for a lot of even though uh it calls for a lot of conversation, it also calls for a lot of silence and reflection. I keep finding myself just pausing and thinking, and that's another reason why I appreciate. And right after that poem, you put a process through writing in there, and I think and I'm just seeing this now. The questions for the book club reflections. Phew. This is deep.
Thank you. The topic is deep and people's experiences are deep. So we got to be prepared, help people go through it.
Yeah. I want to in the back you invite people to connect with you. So first of all, I want to thank you for your time here today. And I want to thank you for having the courage to write this book, Elijah Broke the Gate, and to share it and to speak about this openly and honestly and frequently to masses of people. And, that takes a lot of strength to do that. So I want to thank you for that. Your book is on display. So since we got it early, we did put it up. We just couldn't help it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out
yes,
to my illustrator, Devagana, who is a Penguin House illustrator. Praise God, I was able to get her. She did a beautiful job on the cover.
she sure did. It's so beautiful. We couldn't help it. And so it's up right now at Hidden Gems Literary Emporium at 55B Morris Street, New Brunswick, New Jersey. We also offer virtual appointments and shipping. So we will ship this book to your home if you are interested. Um, thank you. Thank you very much for your time today. Do you have any closing words before we end this interview?
Thank you. And if anyone does want to connect, please do. I'm here. I really am. Like, I had someone come to my virtual release party, and at the end, we had a talk back, and she said, I don't know you. I've never met you. I follow you on Instagram. And she said, I just want to say that thank you for talking to me on Messenger on Instagram. And thank you for opening up a space for us Black girls. She's like, I know the book is for any race, but I feel like you're making a space for us Black girls to grieve together. And you're saying it's okay to grieve, and grieving is what makes you strong. I was like, okay, hey, yes, amen.
And so you can contact Jessica at elijahbrokethegate@gmail.com. And we encourage you all to please do. And thank you, Jessica, for your time today.
Thank you.
And see you
Bye.
soon.